Welcome to Betrayal Ledger. Let us get started with today's story. 6 weeks before the wedding, everything looked perfect on paper. Claire and I had been together for 4 years, engaged for 1, and we were finally closing in on the big day. The venue was booked, the catering paid, and the invitation sent. It had taken months of planning, late nights comparing menus and flower colors. But we were almost there. Then, on an ordinary Tuesday night, Clara asked if we could talk. She said it in that careful tone people use before they drop something heavy. We sat across from each other at the kitchen table. She looked nervous but determined. "I need to tell you something," she said. "It's about the wedding." I waited. I want Nolan to be my man of honor. I blinked, thinking I'd misheard. "Your ex-boyfriend Nolan?" She nodded, folding her hands like she'd practiced this. "Yes, he's my closest friend. He's always been there for me. It would mean a lot if he stood beside me that day." I leaned back. "Clara, you dated him for 3 years. He cheated on you, remember?" "That was a long time ago," she said quickly. "We've both changed. He's not that person anymore." "You've stayed friends." "I've tried to respect that," I said. "But having him stand next to you while we say our vows, that's too much." Her expression hardened. "This isn't up for debate, Victor. Either Nolan is my man of honor, or there's no wedding." I thought she was bluffing, but she looked straight at me, waiting. I nodded slowly. "So, that's your choice?" She didn't hesitate. "Yes." "All right, then," I said quietly. "No wedding." She blinked, caught off guard. "Wait, what? You said either he's in, or we're done. I'm just agreeing with you." Her jaw tightened, but she didn't say another word and left the apartment. That night, I sat alone in the living room, the invitation list still open on my laptop. For a long time, I stared at our names printed in gold script and realized it was already over. Then I started canceling everything. I wasn't angry. I was focused. If she truly meant no wedding, I would take her at her word. The vineyard coordinator picked up on the second ring. When I explained, she sighed softly and said, "I'm sorry to hear that, Mr. Shaw. You're within the 30-day window, so you'll get 60% of your deposit back." I thanked her and moved on to the caterer, the florist, the band, and the photographer. Every call felt the same. Short, polite, final. By midnight, half of the wedding was undone. By 2, it was all gone. Then I drafted one email. "Dear friends and family, due to irreconcilable differences, Claire and I have decided to cancel our upcoming wedding. We apologize for any inconvenience this may cause. If you've already made travel plans, please reach out, and I'll do my best to help. Thank you for understanding, Victor." One click, and 150 people knew. When the sun came up, I had a spreadsheet ready. Every refund, every loss. Total money spent $26,400. Refunds expected $14,800. My loss $5,800. Half of that belonged to Clara. I printed the invoice and left it on the table. By 10 that morning, she was at my door. Her hair was messy, eyes red, voice cracking. "What did you do?" "Canceled the wedding," I said calmly. "You made the call." I followed through. "You can't just end everything like that," she shouted. "I didn't mean literally no wedding. I was just emotional." "Ultimatums are literal," I said. "That's the point." She shook her head, pacing. "Fine. Nolan doesn't have to be the man of honor. Maybe just a groomsman or something. We can fix this." I slid the invoice across the counter. "Too late for that. Here's your half." Her eyes widened. "You're billing me. We split the costs. We split the loss. Fair is fair." She grabbed the paper and crushed it in her hand. "You're heartless." "Maybe," I said, "but at least I'm consistent." She stormed out, slamming the door hard enough to shake the frame. For the first time in months, the place was quiet. Not peaceful, not yet, but quiet. The quiet didn't last long. By the next afternoon, the calls started. First came Elaine, Clara's mother. "Victor, sweetheart," she began in that sweet but condescending tone only mothers-in-law can master. "Clara told me what happened. You can't be serious about canceling everything over one disagreement." "It wasn't one disagreement," I said. "It was an ultimatum." "Oh, please," she huffed. She just wanted her best friend to be involved. "You're acting possessive." Her ex-boyfriend Elaine, not her cousin, not her coworker, her ex standing beside her at our wedding. Elaine's voice turned cold. "You sound insecure." "Then call it insecurity," I said. "It's still over." And I hung up. A few hours later, Clara posted a long message online, something about women being punished for having male friends, and insecure men who fear strong women. Within minutes, her friends were filling the comments with hearts, and "you deserve better" messages. My phone buzzed nonstop. Some of our mutual friends texted to ask what happened. I copied and pasted the same reply to each one. She said her ex had to be her man of honor or there's no wedding. I agreed. No wedding. That was all I needed to say. Still, The story spread fast. People picked sides. Some told me I overreacted. Others said I dodged a bullet. I ignored both groups. 3 days later, I opened our shared wedding folder on my computer to double-check refund receipts. That's when I found it. An old file named Final Program. Out of curiosity, I opened it. There it was, an elegant script. Man of Honor, Nolan Hayes. The document was dated 3 weeks before Clara's little talk. I leaned back, staring at the screen. She'd planned it before she ever told me. The speech, the demand, even the timing. It was all rehearsed. I took screenshots, saved copies, and closed the folder. I didn't post anything. I didn't call anyone. I just sat there realizing something simple and ugly. Clara hadn't made a mistake. She'd made a decision, and she'd assumed I'd never have the spine to call her bluff. 3 days later, I got a call from the front desk at work. "There's a guy here asking for you," the receptionist said. "Says it's personal." When I walked into the lobby, there he was, Nolan Hayes, khaki jacket, mirrored sunglasses. That same self-satisfied grin I'd seen in photos. "Victor," he said, standing and offering his hand like we were old buddies. "Got a minute?" I didn't take it. "Make it quick." He glanced around the lobby. "Can we talk in private?" "No need," I said. "Say what you came to say." He smirked. "Clara told me everything." "Man, I think you're blowing this way out of proportion." "Out of proportion?" I repeated. "Yeah, she just wanted me up there because we're close, you know. She said you were cool with it before, that you understood. Guess I was wrong about that." I folded my arms. "You were wrong about a lot." He laughed lightly, trying to charm his way through it. "Look, I get it. You're threatened. I would be too. But it's not like we're sneaking off together." She wanted to include everyone who's meant something to her. She wanted to include her ex-boyfriend in our vows. I said flatly. "That's not inclusion. That's disrespect." He shrugged. "You're making a mistake, man. She loves you. You'll come around." "There's nothing to come around to," I said. "The wedding's canceled." That wiped the grin off his face. Canceled for real completely. Vendors, guests, everything. She knows. He stared at me, frowning. "She told me you were just trying to scare her. She said you'd calm down. Guess she doesn't know me as well as she thought." Nolan shifted his weight, suddenly uncomfortable. "So, the money she asked me about, what happens now?" I tilted my head. "Money?" He hesitated, realizing he'd said too much. "She said she needed help covering some deposits. Told me she'd pay me back after the wedding." I almost laughed. "Let me guess. About $5,000. He didn't answer, but the look on his face was all the confirmation I needed. I stepped closer. "She wanted you in the wedding, and paying for it too. I'd call that poetic." He glared. "You're a real piece of work." I smiled. "She already told me that." That evening, I got a message from a woman named Maya, Nolan's girlfriend. She'd seen Clara and Nolan's texts pop up on his laptop. They weren't explicit, but they were close. Late-night messages, emotional flirting. I miss how we used to talk. Maya sent screenshots and asked if I wanted them. I told her, "No need. I already know what kind of story this is." Then I deleted the messages and closed my phone. By the end of that week, Clara had stopped pretending. The texts turned cold, short, transactional. She texted, "You're really taking this to court?" "After everything, I am," I replied. "We agreed to split costs. I'm just holding you to that." No response. I filed the claim on Monday. Simple. Direct. Receipts, messages, and the program file, dated 3 weeks before her ultimatum. I didn't want revenge. I wanted closure and accountability. 2 nights later, my phone buzzed. It was Robert, Clara's father. We hadn't spoken since the engagement dinner. "Victor," he said, "can we meet for coffee?" We met at a cafe downtown. Robert looked worn out, older than I remembered. He stirred his coffee slowly, eyes fixed on the table. "She told me what happened," he said finally. "Or at least her version. I figured it. She said you blindsided her." I slid my folder across the table. Here's the timeline. Dates, messages, proof she printed the programs, weeks before that conversation. He looked through the papers quietly. After a minute, he sighed. "Her mother lets her win every argument. I should have stepped in years ago. She thinks ultimatums are part of love." I didn't say anything. He closed the folder. "How much does she owe you?" $5,800 split down the middle. I said she owes half. Robert pulled out his checkbook. I held up a hand. "You don't need to do that." "I do," he said, signing his name. "She needs to feel consequences, but you don't need to drag this through court. I'll deal with her." He handed me the check. His eyes were tired, but sincere. "I'm sorry, Victor, for all of it. You're a good man. She just doesn't know what that means yet." I folded the check. "You don't have to apologize for her." He shook his head. "I'm not. I'm apologizing for raising someone who thought this was okay." We shook hands. I withdrew the claim the next morning, the night before what should have been our wedding. I was watching a game on mute when I heard the knock. 3 slow taps. When I opened the door, Clara stood there in the black dress I bought her for her last birthday. "Can we talk?" she asked. I left the door chain on. "About what?" She exhaled hard. "Everything." Her eyes were red, but not from crying. She looked exhausted, smaller somehow. "I messed up, Victor. Nolan and I aren't even talking anymore. He got back with his ex. I realized how stupid it all was." "Stupid," I repeated. "That's one word for it." She stepped closer to the door. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I just thought he's been in my life so long. I didn't think it would bother you like that." "It's not about bothering me," I said. "It's about respect." "I know." Her voice cracked. "I thought you'd understand. I thought you'd forgive me." I studied her for a moment. "Tell me something, Clara. When you made that ultimatum, was there still part of you that had feelings for him?" Silence. She looked at the floor. Finally, she whispered, "Maybe. I don't know. I just wanted to know. He still cared." "It wasn't about choosing him over you. It was exactly that," I said quietly. "You put me in a position where I had to compete with someone you should have left behind years ago." Tears started now, real ones. "I didn't think you'd actually walk away." "That's the problem," I said. "You counted on me not walking away." She pressed her forehead against the doorframe. "Can't we start over? Forget all this?" "No," I said simply. "Some things you don't walk back from." We stood there in silence for a long time, the chain still between us. "Goodbye, Clara." She nodded once, wiped her face, and walked away. I closed the door. October 14th, the wedding day, arrived without a ceremony. I woke up early, made coffee, and drove out to the lake with my brother Alex. He didn't ask questions. We fished, talked about baseball, and let the silence do most of the work. Around noon, my phone buzzed nonstop. Friends, co-workers, cousins. Some messages were awkward apologies, others sympathy notes. I ignored them all. The only text I answered was from Robert. "She moved back home," he wrote. "Started therapy last week. She's not doing great. I hope it helps," I replied. He didn't answer, but he didn't need to. When I got home that night, I saw that Clara and Nolan had both deleted their social media pages. I poured a drink and sat on the porch. The date we'd chosen together had come and gone, and I felt nothing but relief. Somewhere out there, Clara was probably sitting in her childhood bedroom, trying to figure out how everything slipped away. And maybe for the first time realizing that she'd built the whole thing on a test she never thought I'd pass. Weeks passed. Life settled into a rhythm that felt foreign at first. Quiet, predictable, uncomplicated. I went to work, came home, cooked for one, and didn't have to explain anything to anyone. Claire's name still came up sometimes. Robert told me she'd quit her job 2 weeks after moving back home. Elaine still blamed me for everything and said I'd abandoned her daughter over something small. I didn't respond. Nolan disappeared entirely. According to one mutual friend, he'd moved to another city. That part didn't surprise me. People like him always run when the light gets too bright. As for me, I finally understood something, too. How quiet peace can be when you stop fighting to fix someone who doesn't want to change. I thought back to that night at the kitchen table, her face set, her voice sharp. Either Nolan is my man of honor or there's no wedding. And I remembered my answer. Your choice. She'd made hers. I'd made mine. The wedding might have been beautiful, but the marriage would have been chaos. I didn't just save my pride. I saved my peace. And that, I decided, was worth every dollar and every silence that followed. Thank you for watching until the end. Wishing you peace, happiness, and the love you truly deserve. See you in the next story.